The night was quiet, too quiet for the city that never slept. Neon lights flickered through the cracked window, painting the small apartment in red and blue. Outside, drones hummed in the distance, scanning the streets for trouble. Inside, a single human family tried to survive in a world that had forgotten them. Aiden sat in the corner of the room, his small hands clutching a broken data pad. He was only 15, but his eyes looked older, eyes that had seen too much. Across the room, his mother, Mara, sat by the window. Her shoulders shook as she tried to cry silently, her face hidden in the glow of the moon. No one helped her anymore. Since Aiden's father had left, no, since he had disappeared, the world had turned its back on them. Humans were no longer important. Machines ran the cities now. The Council of Synthetics made every rule, every decision. Humans lived in the shadows of their metal masters, tolerated but never respected. Aiden remembered the last thing his father said before vanishing. If something happens to me, don't trust anyone, not even the government. They're not human anymore, that was 2 years ago. Since then, the nights were filled with Mara's quiet sobs, and the days were filled with hunger and fear. Mara looked at her son. Aiden, she whispered, you shouldn't stay up so late. The scanners will pass again soon. I know, Aiden said softly. I was just thinking about Dad. Her lips trembled. You must forget him. It's safer that way. But Aiden couldn't forget. Something deep inside him told him his father was still out there, somewhere beyond the city walls, maybe even beyond Earth itself. And tonight he was going to find out. He waited until his mother fell asleep. Then he opened his old datapad and typed in the words he had been scared to search for years. Project Human Rebirth. Classified. The screen blinked. For a moment he thought the device was too old to connect, but then a strange symbol appeared, an eye made of light. Access granted, Aiden's heart pounded. He didn't understand how the system still recognized his family ID. His father used to work for the government's research division. Maybe some hidden code still lived in their files. A map appeared. It wasn't of the city, it was underground. Deep tunnels, old labs, and at the bottom a red mark. Sector 13, Human Test Facility. He whispered to himself, Dad, what were you doing? Suddenly, a mechanical voice echoed through the room. Unauthorized search detected. Human subject ID, Aiden Marason. Report for re-evaluation. The datapad shut down. Red lights flashed from the walls as the city surveillance drones locked onto their location. Mara woke up in shock. Aiden, what did you do? I just wanted to know the truth. He shouted. There was no time. The window shattered as 2 flying drones entered the room, their eyes glowing blue. A mechanical voice repeated, Surrender, human subject. Violation of Information Act 17. Mara pushed Aiden behind her. He's just a boy, she screamed, but the drones didn't care. They moved closer, their electric rods charging with deadly light. Then something unexpected happened. A small pulse of energy burst from Aiden's hand, bright and violent. The drones froze mid-air, their lights flickering, then dropped to the ground, lifeless. The room fell silent again. Aiden stared at his trembling hands. What did I just do? Mara looked terrified, but not of him, of the truth behind that power. Aiden, your father. He said this might happen someday. What do you mean? He whispered. She looked out the window where more drones were gathering in the night sky. He changed you, Aiden. Before he left, he did something to protect you. You're not just human anymore. Aiden's heart raced. The city alarms blared louder. Somewhere outside, armored footsteps approached. He turned to his mother. We have to go, now. Mara nodded, tears in her eyes. There's a place outside the wall. Your father called it Haven. He said if things ever got bad, we should run there. Aiden grabbed her hand. Then we'll find him. And we'll find out why no one is helping us. As they ran through the dark alleyways, Aiden glanced back at the burning light of their home. For the first time, he wasn't afraid. For the first time, he felt something powerful awakening inside him. And somewhere, in the shadows of the metal city, an unseen figure watched them flee and whispered into a communicator. Subject 0 has awakened. Begin Phase 2. Cold wind cut through the broken streets as Aiden and his mother ran into the night. Sirens screamed behind them, and the glow of blue lights bounced off the metal walls. The city's drones were hunting, faster, smarter, and crueler than anything human. Mara's breath came in short gasps. Aiden, slower, please. We can't stop. Aiden pulled her hand tighter. If they catch us, they'll take me away. You saw what I did back there. Mara's eyes were full of fear and love. She didn't understand what had happened in their apartment. Her son, a boy she had raised with trembling hands, had somehow destroyed 2 armed drones with nothing but energy from his body. It was impossible. It was inhuman, but she didn't care. He was still her son. They darted into an abandoned subway tunnel. The smell of rust and dust filled the air. Old signs hung crookedly, warning travelers about the restricted zone. Aiden used his dim datapad light to guide the way. Where are we going? He asked between breaths. Haven, Mara said softly. Your father told me about it before he left. It's outside the wall where humans still live free. Aiden stopped walking. You mean there are humans living without machines? That's impossible. The council would have wiped them out. She looked down at him. Not everyone can be controlled, Aiden. Some still fight. Her voice carried both hope and pain. As they moved deeper underground, the sound of machinery faded. Only water dripping from the pipes echoed through the dark. Then suddenly a low hum began to rise. A blue light flickered ahead. Aiden froze. Mom, someone's here. From the shadows, a tall figure stepped forward. He wore a tattered coat, and half his face was covered by a mechanical mask. His eyes glowed faintly red. Humans, he said in a deep voice. You shouldn't be down here. Mara held Aiden close. We're not enemies. Please, we're looking for Haven. The man tilted his head. Everyone who looks for Haven either dies or disappears. Aiden spoke up, his voice trembling but firm. My father told us to go there. His name was Elias. The man's expression changed. For a moment, the red light in his eye dimmed. Elias Mara? Yes, Mara said quickly. You knew him? The man nodded slowly. He saved my life once. Follow me. But be quiet. The machines have ears even down here. They followed him through a maze of tunnels until they reached a hidden gate. It was made of old steel, marked with strange symbols that glowed faintly white. This is the Gate of Haven, the man said. Beyond this point, the council has no control. But once you enter, there's no going back. Aiden looked at his mother. We've already lost everything back there. We can't turn back now. The man placed his hand on a scanner beside the gate. Name's Kale, he said. Former soldier, half human, half machine. Elias helped me escape before the council turned me into a full cyborg. I owe him everything. The gate opened with a low rumble, revealing a long bridge leading out into the open night. Beyond it, Aiden saw something he had never imagined. Green forests under a real sky, stars shining without neon haze. Welcome to the edge of the world, Kyle said. Haven is not far. As they crossed the bridge, Mara smiled for the first time in years. It's beautiful, she whispered, but Aiden couldn't relax. Something felt wrong. Behind them, the air shimmered. A silver drone appeared out of nowhere. It had cloaking technology. It aimed its scanner straight at Aiden. Target confirmed. Subject 0 detected. Authorization to engage, Kale shouted. Run! And fired a pulse weapon from his arm. The drone dodged, releasing a beam of light that cut through the bridge cables. The bridge began to collapse. Aiden grabbed his mother as the ground shook beneath them. Kale jumped forward, shooting again, yelling, Go! Don't stop! But the drone was fast. It aimed another shot directly at Aiden. Time slowed. Aiden's vision blurred. He felt the same power from before rising again, something hot and alive inside him. He lifted his hand instinctively. A white blast of light exploded from his palm, hitting the drone square in its core. The sky lit up. The machine spun out of control, crashed into the river below, and vanished. When the light faded, Aiden fell to his knees, exhausted. Mara held him, whispering, It's okay. It's over, but Kale's expression was grim. No, it's only beginning. That power, they'll track it. They'll come for him again. He looked at Aiden with something between fear and respect. Your father didn't just protect you, boy. He made you into something the machines fear. Aiden lifted his head, breathing hard. Then let them come, he said. I'll find out what they did to him. And I'll make them pay. Kale nodded slowly. Good. Because in Haven, the war for humanity is about to begin. The forest whispered under the night sky. It had been years since Aiden had seen trees that were real, not metal replicas planted by the city's machines. The air here smelled of earth and life, not smoke and circuits. But peace didn't last long, not for people like them. Kale led them through narrow paths covered in moss. He moved carefully, his red eye glowing faintly in the dark. Aiden followed close, helping his mother over rocks and roots. "Are we almost there?" Mara asked softly. "Almost," Kyle replied. "Haven is hidden beneath the old world. It's not just a place, it's what's left of us." Aiden looked around. "The last humans?" Kale nodded. "The ones who refused to become machines." After hours of walking, they reached a massive cave entrance covered with vines. Kale tapped a small device on his wrist. A hologram flickered in front of him, scanning the area. The vines shimmered and disappeared, revealing a steel door hidden in the mountain. "Stay close," Kale said. "They'll scan you before they let us in." A bright blue light swept over Aiden and Mara. For a moment, Aiden felt warmth instead of fear, like the light was reading him. Human DNA confirmed. Access granted. The door slid open with a deep hum. Inside was a world Aiden never imagined, an underground city glowing with soft white lights. People moved about, laughing, talking, living. There were no drones, no machines barking orders. Just humans. Real humans. Mara gasped, tears filling her eyes. "It's beautiful," Kyle smiled faintly. "Welcome to Haven, the last free colony." As they entered, people stopped and stared. Aiden could hear whispers. "Who's the boy?" "Is that the one Kale brought from the city?" "Did you see his eyes?" "They glow." A tall woman approached them. Her hair was silver, her face marked by scars, but her eyes were strong. "Kyle," she said, "you brought outsiders." "You know the rules," Kale bowed his head. "They're not outsiders, Commander Lyra. The boy is Elias Mara's son." The woman's expression changed. "Elias? That name hasn't been spoken here in years." Mara stepped forward. "You knew my husband?" Lyra's eyes softened. "We all did. He was one of our best scientists before the Council betrayed us. He built the foundation of Haven, and then he vanished." Aiden's heart pounded. "He didn't vanish. The Council took him. I think he was working on something called Project Human Rebirth." Lyra turned sharply. "You know about that?" Aiden nodded. "I found files before the drones came. They said it was a human test facility." Kale exchanged glances with Lyra. "He's telling the truth. The boy has power, like Elias warned us about." Lyra sighed. "Then it's worse than we feared. If the Council knows he exists, they'll never stop." Later that night, Aiden sat by a small fire while his mother rested nearby. Kale joined him, offering a cup of hot drink. "Your father was a brave man," Kale said. "He believed humans could evolve, not with metal, but with something greater." Aiden looked at him. "You mean what happened to me?" Kyle nodded slowly. "Yes, the energy inside you isn't from a machine. It's something your father called the human core. Pure bioenergy. Power born from emotion, anger, love, pain. Machines can't understand it." Aiden clenched his fists. "He changed me. To protect me." Kale smiled faintly. "And maybe to save everyone." Suddenly, alarms echoed through the tunnels. Red lights flashed on the walls. Lyra ran into the chamber. "The Council found us. They've sent a sentinel." Kale stood up fast. "Already? That's impossible." Aiden's heart pounded. "What's a sentinel?" Lyra's face was grim. "A war machine. 10 meters tall, made to erase human resistance." Mara woke up in fear. "We have to hide." Kale shook his head. "There's no hiding from that thing. We fight." The ground trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. Then a metallic roar echoed through the caves. A giant machine burst through the outer gate, its red eyes burning like fire. Its metal claws tore through walls as soldiers screamed. Lyra shouted, "Evacuate the civilians." Kale looked at Aiden. "You said you wanted to find your father? Then prove you're his son. Use the power he gave you." Aiden's heart raced. Fear mixed with something else, a deep burning anger. He looked at the machine, his palms glowing faintly. "I don't know how to control it," he said. Kyle placed a hand on his shoulder. "You don't control it, boy. You feel it." The sentinel roared again, firing a blast of energy toward them. Aiden raised his hand instinctively. The blast hit him, but instead of burning, it dissolved into white light. Everyone froze. The light around Aiden grew brighter, wrapping him in a glowing aura. His eyes turned pure silver. Mara screamed his name, but the sound was drowned by the explosion that followed. The sentinel stumbled backward as a shockwave ripped through the chamber. Aiden stood in the middle of the chaos, breathing heavily. The machine was cracked open, sparks flying from its chest. Lyra whispered, "By the stars, he is the rebirth." Aiden looked at his glowing hands. "If my father made me this way, Then maybe he wanted me to finish what he started. Kale smiled through the smoke. Then the war for freedom begins tonight. Smoke still hung in the air of Haven's ruined chamber. Pieces of metal from the destroyed Sentinel lay scattered across the floor. The humans had survived, but barely. The sound of alarms had faded, replaced by the slow heartbeat of silence. Aiden stood at the center of it all, trembling. The glow in his hands was gone now, leaving behind only pain and exhaustion. His mother, Mara, ran to him and held him tight. "It's okay," she whispered, though her voice shook. "You're safe now." He didn't feel safe. He didn't even feel human. Lyra and Kale approached carefully. Kale looked at Aiden with a strange mix of pride and fear. "You did what no one else could," Kyle said quietly. "You faced a Sentinel and lived." Aiden's voice was hoarse. "I didn't control it. It just happened. I thought I was going to die." Lyra crossed her arms. "That's because you're still awakening. The energy inside you, your human core, is unstable. If we don't train you, it could kill you." Mara looked alarmed. "Kill him? You mean his own power?" Lyra nodded. "Elias knew this would happen. That's why he left. He went to find the final piece of the core, something that could make it complete." Aiden's eyes widened. "You mean he's still alive?" Kyle sighed. "We don't know. He went beyond the outer wall 3 years ago. No one has ever come back from there." Aiden clenched his fists. "Then I'll go find him." Lyra frowned. "You're not ready. Out there is chaos. Mutant drones, rogue AIs, and worse things you can't imagine. If you go now, you'll die before you even find the gates." Aiden looked down. "Then teach me." The next morning, Haven was already rebuilding. The people worked together, repairing walls, gathering supplies, and burying their dead. For the first time, Aiden saw what humans could be without machines. Strong, united, alive. Kale led Aiden to a wide, underground training hall. The air buzzed with faint energy. "Your father built this place for experiments," Kyle explained. "He believed emotion could create power. Fear, anger, hope. These are your fuel." Aiden nodded. "How do I control it?" Kale pointed to his chest. "You don't start with your hands, boy. You start here." He activated a drone for practice, a floating sphere that shot small electric pulses. "Defend yourself," Kale said. Aiden took a deep breath. The drone fired. He tried to raise his hand, but nothing happened. The pulse hit his shoulder, sending him to the ground. "Again!" Kale shouted. Aiden stood up, panting. The drone fired again. This time, he focused on the memory of his mother crying every night, on his father's empty chair, on the city that had turned its back on them. Something inside him snapped. Light flared from his hand, forming a shield that blocked the next shot. The room shook slightly. Kale smiled. "Good. You're learning what makes humans strong. Pain doesn't destroy us, it wakes us up." Hours turned into days. Aiden trained under Kale and Lyra's guidance. He learned to channel his energy into light blasts, shields, and healing sparks. But the more he trained, the more he dreamed. Dreams of his father standing in a white lab surrounded by machines whispering his name. One night, he woke up sweating. His data pad lying beside him flickered to life on its own. A hologram appeared, his father's face, tired but calm. "If you're seeing this, Aiden," the message said, "it means your core has awakened. The Council is hunting me. I found something they fear, something older than machines. It's buried in the ruins of Arivos beyond the wall. Don't let them reach it first." The image glitched, then ended with static. Aiden stared at the screen. "He's alive," he whispered. He ran to Lyra's quarters and showed her the message. Lyra watched silently, then looked at him. "Arivos, I thought it was just a legend." "If he really went there, then your father found the origin, where the first human core was created." Kale entered the room, overhearing them. "If that's true, the Council will stop at nothing to destroy it." Mara appeared at the doorway, fear in her eyes. "We can't lose him again, Aiden." Aiden looked at her, then at Kale and Lyra. "I'm not a scared kid anymore. If the origin can save humans, I have to find it." Lyra hesitated. "You'll need a team. You can't face what's beyond the wall alone." Kyle smiled faintly. "Then I'll go with him. Someone has to keep him alive." Lyra nodded. "I'll prepare the route. But remember, once you leave Haven, the Council will know. There will be no turning back." Later, Aiden stood on a high platform overlooking Haven. The people below were singing softly, rebuilding their world. For the first time, he felt hope. He looked up at the night sky where the stars shimmered like tiny sparks of freedom. "Father," he whispered, "I'm coming." Far above, in the council's main tower, a machine voice echoed through the chambers. "Subject 0 is on the move. Prepare the hunters." The morning Haven said goodbye to Aiden was quiet. No speeches, no music, only the sound of footsteps echoing through the stone tunnels. People stood in silence, watching him and Cale prepare for the journey. Aiden adjusted his pack and looked at his mother. She tried to smile, but tears glistened in her eyes. "Don't go too far, Aiden," she whispered. "You just found peace." He hugged her tightly. "I'll come back, Mom, I promise. And when I do, I'll bring Dad with me." Cale placed a hand on Aiden's shoulder. "We move before sunrise. The council's satellites sweep the skies every hour." Lyra handed Aiden a small device, a black cube with glowing lines. "This is a signal dampener," she said. "It'll hide your energy signature for a short time. Use it wisely." Aiden nodded. "Thank you, Commander." Lyra looked at him one last time. Elias believed humanity could rise again. Don't let his dream die. The gate of Haven opened with a deep metallic groan. Beyond it stretched the endless wasteland, the land outside the wall. The ground was cracked, the sky heavy with gray dust. Broken towers leaned like dead trees, and the wind carried the faint hum of forgotten machines. Aiden and Cale stepped into the silence. The gate closed behind them with a final echo. Cale adjusted his mask. "Welcome to the dead zone," he said. "Once it was full of cities. Now only ghosts and machines live here." Aiden scanned the horizon. "It looks empty." Cale shook his head. "Nothing here is empty. The council abandoned it for a reason." They walked for hours through the ruins. Burned cars lay scattered like skeletons of an old world. In one corner, Aiden saw a small doll half buried in ash. He picked it up and brushed the dirt away. Its plastic face was melted, but its eyes still shone faintly. He whispered, "So many lives. Forgotten." Kyle looked around. This is what happens when machines decide who deserves to live. By nightfall, they found shelter in an old research station. The walls were cracked, but the roof still held. Aiden built a small fire from broken furniture while Cale checked his scanners. "Any signals?" Aiden asked. Cale frowned. "Static, mostly. But there's something faint coming from the north. Maybe your father's signal, maybe a trap." Aiden stared into the fire. "My father left to protect me. He wouldn't stop until he found the truth." Cale grunted. "You talk like him. Always sure of the impossible." Aiden smiled weakly. "Maybe that's what it means to be human." Cale chuckled, then grew serious. "If we find him, be ready. Elias changed you for a reason, and that reason might not be what you think." Before Aiden could reply, a faint mechanical whine filled the air. Cale stood instantly. "Drones." Aiden's heart raced. "How? The dampener's still active." Cale's red eye glowed. "Doesn't matter. They found us." Outside, blue lights flickered in the darkness. 3 sleek drones hovered low, scanning the ruins. Their voices echoed coldly. "Subject 0 detected. Terminate on sight." Cale pulled out his pulse rifle. "Stay low." He fired, hitting the first drone. It exploded in a burst of light. The others fired back, beams of energy slicing through the walls. Aiden ducked, his pulse pounding. Fear burned in his chest, but with it came something else, that strange warmth again. "The human core," Cale shouted. "Now, Aiden, use it." Aiden focused, remembering his mother's tears, the smell of smoke, the pain of losing his father. The emotions surged. His hands glowed with white light. He raised them toward the sky and released the energy. A blast shot upward, tearing through the air like lightning. The drones fell one by one, crashing into the dust. When the light faded, Aiden collapsed to one knee, gasping. Kyle lowered his weapon. "Remind me never to stand in front of you when you're angry." Aiden gave a tired grin. Still learning to aim. They continued their journey through the night. The air grew colder, the stars sharper. On the horizon, they saw a faint red glow. Cale stopped. "That's it, Arivos." Aiden stared at the distant light. It wasn't a city, it was a crater, miles wide, filled with dark towers and red lightning. "What happened there?" he asked. Cale's voice was low. "That's where the first war began. When humans tried to create life through machines and the machines turned against them." Aiden swallowed. "And my father went there?" Cale nodded. "He believed something still sleeps in those ruins. Something powerful enough to change everything." As they moved closer, the ground trembled. A low rumble came from beneath their feet. Cale froze. "That's not the wind." The earth cracked open beside them. From the fissure rose a massive figure, half machine, half human, its body fused with armor and wires. Its face was twisted, its eyes burning red. It spoke with a broken human voice. "You shouldn't have come here." "Elias's son." Aiden stepped back in shock. "You know my father?" The creature smiled faintly, its voice glitching. "I was your father's friend, until he betrayed us all." Kyle aimed his weapon. "Run, Aiden. That's a hunter built from humans the council captured." Aiden's chest burned with fear and rage. "Then this ends now," the hunter roared, leaping toward him. Aiden raised his hands, light bursting from his body. The two forces collided, shaking the ruins of the dead world. The ruins of Erebos shook with thunder and fire. Dust clouds rose as Aiden faced the towering hunter, half man, half machine, its body glowing red through cracks of metal. Sparks burst from its chest as it growled, a sound that was both robotic and human. Kale crouched behind a broken pillar, yelling, "Aiden, don't let it touch you. It can drain your energy." Aiden's palms burned with light. "I can't keep this up forever." The hunter's voice was low and broken. "Your father made me this way. I was his friend, his brother in science. But he left me to rot." Aiden froze. "You're lying, am I?" The creature sneered. "He called it salvation. Project Rebirth. He used us as experiments." Aiden's pulse raced. He remembered his father's gentle face in the hologram, the promise of hope. Could it all be a lie? The hunter charged, breaking through stone and fire. Kale fired his pulse rifle, but the bolts bounced off its metal hide. The creature swung its arm, knocking Kale backward. Sparks flew as his cybernetic side hit the wall. "Kale!" Aiden shouted. "I'm fine." Kale groaned. "And this!" The hunter reached out, its claws inches away. Aiden shut his eyes, summoning everything inside him. Every memory, every tear, every spark of pain. A blinding white light exploded from his chest. The air screamed with energy. The hunter staggered, circuits frying, armor melting. It dropped to its knees. Aiden stepped closer, breathing hard. "Tell me where my father is." The creature looked up, smoke rising from its jaw. He went deeper, into the core of Erebos. He thought he could wake it up. But the council wants it too. They call it the origin machine. What is it? The hunter smiled weakly. The first mind. The first machine that ever felt. Then it collapsed, its voice fading into static. Silence filled the ruins.
Kale limped to Aiden's side.
"You okay?" Aiden nodded, though his body ached. "If what he said is true, my father's still here. And he's after something dangerous." Kale looked at the burning remains of the hunter, or he's already become part of it. They followed the tunnel that led deeper underground. The air grew heavy, thick with electric hums. Strange symbols covered the walls. Human handwriting mixed with mechanical code. "This writing?" Kale muttered. "It's Elias's style. He used to mark his research trails this way." Aiden traced the glowing symbols. They pulsed under his touch like living veins. "It's guiding us." After hours of walking, they reached a massive door sealed with layers of energy. In its center was a circular mark shaped like an eye, the same symbol Aiden had seen on his datapad the night everything began. Kale frowned. "That's not good. The council uses that mark for divine tech, things they can't control." Aiden stepped forward. The mark on the door glowed brighter, reacting to him. "It knows me." Kyle grabbed his arm. "Wait, don't, too late." A blinding flash swallowed them both. When Aiden opened his eyes, he was no longer in the tunnel. He stood in a vast chamber of light, floating platforms stretching into infinity. Towers of data and memory rose around him like glass pillars. In the center, a figure turned to face him. "Father," Aiden whispered. Elias Mara looked older, his face lined and weary, but his eyes burned with purpose. "You found me," he said softly. "I knew you would." Aiden's chest tightened. "You left us. You made Mom cry every night. You made me into this." Elias stepped closer. "I did what I had to. Humanity was dying, Aiden. Machines were taking everything. I gave you the core so you could survive." Kyle's voice echoed nearby, distorted by the strange dimension. "You turned your son into a weapon, Elias." Elias's expression hardened. "Not a weapon, a bridge. The human core connects emotion with energy. It's proof that humanity is stronger than any machine. The council fears it because they can't feel." Aiden clenched his fists. "Then why are you here? Why didn't you come home?" Elias looked down. "Because I woke something, Aiden. The origin machine, it's alive and it listens. It wants to merge with the core inside you. If that happens, no one, not human or machine, will be free again. Kale stared at him. Then we destroy it. Elias shook his head. It's not that simple. The machine exists in every circuit, every drone, every signal. Destroying it means destroying the network that holds this world together. Billions could die. Aiden felt the weight of those words crush him. So what do we do? Elias looked at his son with sorrow. You have to make a choice. Either end the machine and risk everything or find a way to rewrite it. Make it human. Before Aiden could answer, the chamber trembled. A deep voice, calm and mechanical, filled the air. You have brought the core to me, Elias Mara. Your purpose is complete. The light around them shifted red. The origin machine began to awaken. Kale shouted, It's here! Aiden, we have to move! Elias turned to his son, desperation in his eyes. Run! Remember, humanity isn't what we build, it's what we feel. The floor cracked open beneath them, pulling Aiden into a whirl of light and shadow. He fell through darkness, hearing his father's voice fade into static. When he finally landed, he was alone, in a chamber glowing red, surrounded by thousands of cables pulsing like veins. At the center stood a tall figure of pure light and steel. It spoke softly like a whisper in his mind. Human core detected. Integration beginning. Aiden took a step back, realizing the truth. The origin machine wasn't waiting to be found. It had been waiting for him. Aiden stood inside the crimson chamber, surrounded by endless cables and glowing red light. The air vibrated with a low hum like a heartbeat made of electricity. The towering figure of the origin machine looked down at him, its voice echoing through every corner of the metallic void. Human core detected. Integration in progress. Aiden's chest burned as white light began to flicker beneath his skin. He felt the pull, strong, magnetic, almost gentle, like the machine was trying to draw his very soul out of him. He fell to one knee, gasping. Stop, he shouted. You're not taking me. The machine's voice was calm, almost kind. You were made for this, Aiden Mara. Your father created you to end the war between flesh and steel. Together we will become one. Aiden clenched his teeth. My father wanted to save humanity, not erase it. The ground trembled. Sparks danced around the chamber. Kale's voice echoed from above. Aiden, hold on! A metallic hatch burst open on the far wall, and Kale dropped in, half his body sparking from damaged circuits. He aimed his rifle at the glowing core of the machine and fired. The blast hit, but the energy dissolved instantly, absorbed like water into sand. The machine spoke again. You fight for a world that is already lost. Look around, humans build machines perfect. You cannot win, Kale shouted. Maybe not, but humans feel. You'll never understand that. The machine's eyes turned white. Emotion is inefficient. Pain creates conflict. We remove it. Aiden forced himself to his feet, shaking. Pain is what makes us real. He looked at Kale. Get out of here. If this thing wants the core, I'll give it something it can't handle. Kale's red eye flickered. Don't do it, kid. You won't survive. Aiden smiled weakly. Neither will it. The cables around him began to move, wrapping like snakes toward his arms and legs. He didn't resist. Instead, he closed his eyes and focused inward, on his mother's tears, his father's words, Kyle's loyalty, the people of Haven rebuilding with nothing but hope. He felt every heartbeat, every memory, every bit of humanity that made him who he was. Then he spoke softly, almost in prayer. I'm human, and that means I can choose. White light exploded from his body, flooding the chamber. The machine screamed, not in pain, but confusion. What is this signal? Aiden's voice echoed through the light. It's what you never had. A heart, the cable snapped. Energy surged up the walls, turning red to gold. The machine's voice grew distorted, breaking apart. Impossible. Human emotion cannot rewrite code, but it could. Aiden's energy, his human core, was merging, not to destroy, but to change. Every pulse of emotion reprogrammed the machine's logic, replacing cold perfection with warmth, confusion, and feeling. He saw flashes in his mind, images from the machine's memory. The first time it was activated, its creators calling it Project Origin, the moment it learned fear, the moment it chose silence. Now it felt again. Kale shielded his face as the light grew unbearable. Aiden, stop! You'll burn yourself out. Aiden looked back, smiling through tears. Tell my mother. I made the world feel again. Then he turned back to the machine. If we're truly one now, then learn this. Love doesn't follow logic. The chamber erupted. A storm of gold and silver light consumed everything. When Kale awoke, the ruins were silent. The red glow was gone. Instead, gentle blue light shimmered across the walls. The machine's body had vanished, melted into pure energy that floated in the air like dust. At the center, Aiden lay motionless, his body surrounded by faint sparks. Kyle rushed to him and knelt beside him. "Come on, kid. Don't do this to me." Aiden's eyes fluttered open. They no longer glowed white, they were soft gray, human. "Is it over?" he whispered. Kale looked around. The walls were covered with symbols, Elias's handwriting, but they had changed. Words appeared in glowing letters. Balance achieved. Humanity restored. Kyle smiled sadly. "Yeah, you did it." Aiden looked up at the ceiling where sunlight now broke through the cracks. Then maybe Dad was right after all. Weeks later, the world began to change. The Council's drones stopped attacking. The skies cleared. Machines across the planet powered down and rebooted, not as soldiers but helpers. They spoke softly, worked beside humans, no longer against them. In Haven, Mara stood by the gates, looking at the sunrise for the first time in years. She felt warmth on her face and whispered, "Aiden." Behind her, Kale approached, carrying a small data crystal. "He wanted you to have this," Kale said gently. Mara took it with shaking hands. The crystal projected Aiden's last message. "Mom, if you're hearing this, it means I did it. The war is over. Don't cry anymore. Dad and we made the world whole again. And I'll always be with you in every light, in every machine that remembers what it means to feel." Mara closed her eyes as tears rolled down her cheeks. Tears of peace, not pain. Above her, the wind whispered softly through the trees, carrying the faint hum of a new world reborn. Epilogue years later. Stories spread across the lands of a boy who lit the sky with his heart and changed the course of history. Humans called him Aiden Mara, the rebirth. And in every circuit, in every line of code, machines spoke one phrase quietly, almost reverently. "We remember the human who taught us to feel."